What is up, everybody? Welcome back to part 5 of my Shadow of the Erdtree walkthrough. So for starters, we're going to warp right here to the castle front. And we're going to start things off today with a Catacombs type dungeon. And so that dungeon is up in this direction. It's kind of off the map. But we'll just put a little marker here just for navigation purposes. And we're going to ride right through on Torrent. There are going to be some enemies we encounter on the way, but they are a bit dicey because they're going to chuck fireballs at you, and there are exploding barrels on the ground. So, yeah. We're going to kind of run straight through. And, whoops, I meant to get that item. There we go. And then there's one more item we're going to grab on the fly, but we're not going to be engaging with these guys at all. Just going to grab the items and be on our way here. All right, Smithing Stone 3. I'll leave you to decide if that is worth it or not. But anyway, we're just going to head straight kind of on this north heading. Down in this area, there is nothing else loot-wise, so we're just headed straight for our kind of final destination. There are going to be some enemies down here, though. And you'll see there is a map fragment to the left of where we're at. However, this area is isolated. It's pretty much a valley, so you can't access where that map fragment is from here. So don't try it. So look for those kind of torches right there. That's going to indicate we're at the catacombs. And here we are. So those of you who are intimately familiar with Elden Ring, which should be most, if not all of you, this should look familiar. You know, Catacombs, there were several of them in the base game. This one's a little bit different than the ones in the base game because it does not have a lever that opens the boss door. This is more kind of a traditional layout where the boss door is just at the end of the dungeon. And so a little bit different than the Catacombs that you might be used to. All right, so we do have the imp enemies, although it's kind of a different variation of the imp enemies. They have different weapons. It is possible that they drop their weapon. It's not guaranteed, but it is possible. Here, pick up a Grave Glovewort 1. And in here, there is a trap. So kind of go to the threshold. You see that blood on the floor? And then roll back, wait for the trap to fall. And you see the spikes hit that imp. But what you want to do here is hide in this little alcove to the left. And sometimes the spikes will kill the imp. In that case, they did not, so we're just going to fight them normally. But yeah, you don't want to get caught in that trap. Ideally, the trap does kill that first imp, so that way you're not fighting two of them at once, because you see they do hit hard. And that greatsword, actually, if you get it, you see how he hit me with that projectile? If you do the charge attack on that greatsword, it is the projectile, which is pretty cool. So if you get lucky and get that greatsword, it is quite nifty. So this next room, there is an enemy at the top. It's a mage that has these annoying projectiles, so I suggest taking him out with ranged attacks. That projectile, what it does is it starts out as like a thicker projectile, but then it splits up into thinner ones that bounce off the walls, and they just pretty much ricochet until they hit something. And there's a bunch of those smaller shards that ricochet, and they do quite a bit of damage. So if you're not careful, you will get yourself into trouble if you don't handle those guys properly. Okay, so we got ourselves over here a yellow Fulgur Bloom. And here is a cannonball imp. So he shoots these cannonballs at you repetitively. Eventually, usually he drops down, and he's much. You know, you can't melee him from up there, but if he drops down, then you can hit him. Normally he does drop down for me eventually, but it doesn't look like he. Oh, there he goes. And if he doesn't cooperate with you, you could probably go all the way to the front here where you're out of range from him. Go back, lock on, and maybe try doing the special of this weapon, which does have a projectile. And if you aim it upwards, the projectile will go upwards. But normally he does drop down for me. So over here, beware. There's an item, but there's it's guarded. So right there to the left, there's a cannonball imp, and over here in the back, there's another imp with the great sword. Let's pick up the Ancient Dragon Knight's Cookbook 1. That allows you to craft red lightning pots. So now we're just going to go straight across to the other side. And here you can drop down to the bottom, but we're not going to. If you go to the edge, there's another spike trap that drops. And you want to jump on top of it and sprint all the way to the back. There's another cannonball imp. If you run kind of perpendicular to him, his shot should miss you, and then that gives you an opportunity to run in and hit him. Get the knot resin up here. So we're going to ride this up again and go to this side this time, down this path. And here there's another, actually this one's by himself, I believe. So I'm just going to charge in and get him. But there we go. Oh, he did get his attack off, but fortunately, since we were close to him, it wasn't too big of an issue. The problem is when you're far away from him and the smaller shards break off, and then the smaller shards hit you, because there's a bunch of them, that can be a problem. So now we're on the bridge. We're on top of the bridge where that first mage was that we sniped with the bow and arrow. That's where he would be if we didn't snipe him. So in here, this is a tricky part. So there's a couple Mesmer Knights there, and you see there's a Black Knight back there with the giant Great Hammer. So fighting all of these at the same time is a recipe for disaster. So we're going to kind of bait this one forward, maybe even just kill him with the arrows. This one we're going to bait forward. And the Black Knight should stay facing the other direction. Whoops. Totally whiffed on that one. There we go. And actually what we're going to do is here is crouch, because there's another Mesmer soldier around the corner. So you want to bait him out. The knight should stay turned backwards for this. So I want to get this guy out here. Hopefully the knight stayed. Oh, no, he's coming for us. So just maintain your spacing, launch your projectile, close the gap, and then rinse and repeat. Get back. And that time he blocked it, but if he's closing in, eventually he will raise his shield up. There we go. You can kill him without much risk there. So, in here, get a Great Ghost Glovewort. So what you can do here is if you go to this first arch, you can get the trap to come down. You can jump on top of it. I think this is the first room that we were in that had the trap at the beginning of the dungeon, but you can jump over here. And this item, believe it or not, is for free. There's no trap in this room, which is shocking. I know. You get the Black Knight Commander Andreas Spirit Ashes. When you jump through this hole, this takes us back to the room where that Black Knight was to begin with, where we got the Great Glovewort. So now we're going to go back to the previous spike room, the one where we could have dropped down, but we did not. And this time we are actually going to drop down. So here we are. I'm gonna ride the thing over here. Let it fall down, and once we drop down, we're gonna roll directly behind us. Roll behind you so you don't get hit by the spikes. And in here, there's an imp waiting for you. So you can get this Fulgur Bloom here and climb up the ladder. And really, the only thing up here is more Fulgur Bloom, so if you don't care about it, you don't have to go up here. And you drop back here. That's where the original guy with the cannon was. Remember, he was shooting from up there, then he dropped down. That's where he was originally. So now we can loop back around here. Go back to the spike trap. We do the same thing where we roll back behind us, because if you try to run forward, you're putting yourself at great risk of getting crushed. And it's not going to be a one-hit kill, but it will do a lot of damage. But as you run through, you can pick up this item, the Dragon Bolt Grease. On the other side, we have an elevator that we're going to ride down. And in this room, we're going to have some more imps. There's going to be one right here, right when we walk in. When we go down the stairs, there's going to be more behind us. And there's this one right here in front of us too. Then go back here, there's going to be another one in this corner. Here we got the Rata fruit. Some more yellow Fulgur bloom. And in here, there's an imp in this room too. So if you charge in and try to shoot this guy, or try to hit this guy, you're going to get cornered by the imp as well. So I'm just going to snipe him. He's not even trying to attack me, so that works. Kick him out and then go in here, and then the imp's going to come down. Now we can freely grab the Grave Glovewort 2 back there. So this next room is a long hall filled with these spike traps. So that entire hall is covered with the spike traps. And at the end is a mage. You see how these things are ricocheting off the walls? Those things hit you. It actually does quite a bit of damage. But the trick is you don't want to get hit by the spikes, so you need to kind of lure the spikes down and then go to this first alcove where an imp's going to drop down on you. Now the next alcove actually has a hole. We're going to drop down this hole. We want to go down here for now, all the way to the bottom, because there's some loot down here. So we're going to go run forward, kill this mage. Now, most of the enemies down here are these blobs. These blobs are really tanky. I don't bother with killing them. It's not really worth my time. They are weak to fire, but it still takes a lot of hits to kill them. So I generally just ignore them. So there's the ladder that takes us back up. But before we do that, there is a room here that is quite tricky. There's a mage that's going to try to hit you with his spells. You do not want to rush in because there's another mage around the corner. So take this one out with a ranged attack. I'm using my bow. And another thing is, so there's another mage around the corner, but there's also blobs on the ceiling directly above the one that was in front of us. So if you charge in and try to kill him first, the blobs are going to fall on top of you, and then you're going to get hit by the other mage, and it's probably going to go very badly for you. So I don't recommend doing that. So definitely take that first one out with range, and then run and get the second one around the corner. So now, you notice there's an item there. There are blobs up on the ceiling. So run through the item to bait the blobs dropping down, because you don't want them to fall on top of you, because if they fall on top of you, they're going to grab you and do a lot of damage. So we got the electrocharge spell. And that's pretty much it for down here. So now we're just going to take the ladder up. Big old ladder. All right. So this is the room that the first room that we entered after coming off that elevator. So now we're going to be back in the spike room. So we're going to do the same thing we did before, except in the second alcove, we're just not going to run all the way back. We're just going to hide closer to the front of the wall so we don't drop down again. Bait the spike trap. Kind of stay moving so these shards don't hit you, or at least as few of them as possible do. See, I did take a little bit of damage there. Second alcove, but don't run all the way back. Just kind of stay close to the wall so you don't fall. Third alcove is going to have an item. And then next, we're just going to go for the stairs. There's going to be 2 imps on the stairs. Take the first one out as quick as you can. And go for the second one. Next, we're going to take out this mage. That's been a nuisance. Pick up the item. Shadow Realm Rune 3. There's going to be 2 imps here. This first one is on the wall, so I'm going to shoot him down so he doesn't surprise us. He can come on up here. Oh, oh, he's got the totally whiffed there. He's got the greatsword. He tried to shoot his projectile at me. So now I aggroed the other one. The other one's got the pitchfork. And the way forward is actually to the left there. There's a path, but what we want to do is if you lure the trap down, there's actually a hole you can jump in and ride it up top. And here we have the Ash of War Blink Bolt. So now what we want to do is make it go back down, and then we're going to jump on top of it like we've done with the other ones. This is actually not one big long spike press. It's actually 3 individual ones. I kind of had to hop over to them. So here we get the stone sheath sword. You can use it as is, but this sword is a little bit unique in that there are points in the game later on where we can enchant it, so it can become either light or dark. So pretty cool in that regard. There's gonna be a couple imps down here. Oh, he's gonna try to shoot me. All right, there we go. Ghost Glowwort 5. Then you want to drop down here. And this is the 3rd alcove where we got the glass shards. We're just going to run straight to the stairs. And go around to the progression path. Wait for the spikes to fall. In this next room, don't go too far because there's spikes here too. Now these spikes you can't ride up. This is purely a trap. It's not a path to anywhere else. Then here we have our elevator. And we have our boss. So this next boss does very powerful lightning-based attacks. Also has very powerful melee attacks. So I'm going to equip the Bolt Drake Talisman +2, as well as the Dragon Crest Great Shield Talisman for the physical attacks. As soon as I walk in, I'm going to summon Mimic. And this boss is pretty tough. I should have chugged my Physic Flask. As soon as the aggro gets off of me, that's what I'm going to do. And those lightning spears do a ton of damage. So I'm going to run around, wait till Mimic starts doing his thing. He does have a grab attack where he kind of pulls his shadowy cape back. When he does that, if he hits you with it, or if he hits Mimic with it, actually, he recovers basically all of his health. So it is unfortunate. That's the tell, actually, for his grab attack. He just did it, but we got a very fortunate stagger there, so he didn't actually get to do it. Because even if he grabs Mimic, he gets pretty much all of his health back, which really sucks. And so when he phase changes at about half health, he gets new attacks. You see that one put a lightning AoE on the ground. Yeah, that's the lightning AoE attack. Kind of letting him go for Mimic. I'm going to chug my blue flask, get my FP back. And now that he's on Mimic, I'm just going to kind of spam my special. Now that he's on me, Mimic's got him. Got another stagger on him, and he is a goner. That boss is one of the more challenging bosses we fought so far. We get his weapons, his axes, and the Crimson Amber Medallion +3, which is a big boost to your HP if you equip it. You know, I think the key with that boss fight is with your Mimic, just maintain your spacing as much as possible, and then wait for his aggro to divert to Mimic, and then that's when you go in and attack him. And attack him with your special or with heavy attacks, jump attacks, whatever you want to do. And that generally works pretty well. But yeah, maintaining that spacing is key because he can close the gap really quickly. So now that we have one, I am going to put my normal talismans back on. And again, you know, for exploration, I love having this talisman on, but it really does no good for boss fights because it really only triggers if you kill something. So add that on, and then I'm going to put my claw talisman back on for jump attacks. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to warp back to the castle front, and then we got to explore some other spots here. So what we're going to do now is we're going to ride along here. Before we curved off and went to this side of Grace to get the Mikola cross as well as the Erdtree fragment. But for now, we're gonna go right here. There's a side of Grace here. There's an item that we want to pick up here. There's a larval tier right around here. And then there's some other loot that we want to get right around here. So we're just going to go for a nice ride. We're not going to stop for much along the way. And really what the path is that we want to take is just this, you know, this roadway. So we're not going to deviate much from this roadway here. Just kind of follow it all the way and you'll be good. Because like I said before, last time we deviated, we went that way, but now we're just staying straight. So you see there's an item right in front of us. We will veer off and get that. Brave Glovewort 6. Now we got more of these little blue wispy things. I don't know much about them. If any of y'all know the lore behind these things, feel free to leave a comment, enlighten me, and perhaps others as well. I'm interested to know what those things are and what they signify. So there's a side of Grace, but here we've got an NPC. This is Igon.
Vile Bale! Oh, terror incarnate! There is life in me yet! I will soon feast upon your heart! Mark my words! You too shall know fear!
Alright, so exhaust his dialogue. So he is going to come into play later. He's talking about Bale. He's one of the more liked NPCs of the DLC. His dialogue and voice acting are quite a bit dramatic. I have to say I'm a fan as well, but we're going to see him a bit later as well. But you make sure you talk to him there just to kind of trigger him to move to the next spot when the time comes. We want to make it night right now because there is a larval tier that we want to pick up. And then we have our beacons on the map. Just as a quick refresher, we're going here, then here, then here.
I am sorry. I repent.
Here, pick up the item. I'm going to be ignoring most of these birds. I don't need the runes, but if you want to fight them, by all means, be my guest. So over here we have this kind of glowing graveyard, and as with the other ones, in the middle is a larval tier. Forgot to level up. I need to do that. And here we have the suppressing pillar, but before we go up, we're actually going to take out this bird. This bird is of the ghost flame variety, so do be cautious. Don't be too hasty. You drop down here. Got some smithing stones. And we'll pick them up because they are there. But now we're going to go up top. Suppressing pillar. Throw my lantern so we can see. Right here we got a treasure chest with yet another ancient dragon smithing stone. There's also a note up here. The very center of the lands between, all manners of death wash up here only to be suppressed. So that seems to indicate that the Shadow Realm is kind of like a purgatory. All manners of death wash up here, so people go here when they die. I'm not sure if that means that everybody goes here when they die, but at least some people, or most people, or perhaps all people. So we're going to warp back here to the Pillar Path waypoint, and I am going to take this opportunity to make it daytime again and also level up.
Please, no more.
I'm going to be putting points into Faith still until I get to 21, where I can use the Blasphemous Blade without using a Rune Arc or a Talisman. If you want to use the Blasphemous Blade, I did it a little bit in the base game, but I decided for the DLC, I'm going to go very light on consumables. It's because the problem with consumables is they run out. And so if you're, you know, relying on them too heavily, it can be a big, you know, kick in the gut if you run out and you think you need them for the boss. So I want to show that you can do all of this without using power-ups and consumables and whatnot, just to show that you don't need them. But by all means, if you have them, feel free to use them. I normally would use them, but I just want to show that, you know, you can accomplish all of this without the use of consumables, so that way you have the confidence of knowing as well that even if you were to use power-ups, then you'll be in a better situation than I am. So that'll, if anything, help you and perhaps even give you more confidence. So if you do choose to use them. Got the Ancient Dragon Man invading us. Took him out. Fun times. Because in previous games, especially when I was new to Souls, there'd be points in time where I'd be using, you know, some sort of consumable to buff or whatever the case may be. And then I'd be fighting the same boss over and over again, and then I'd run out, and then I'd feel like I'd have to farm and all that stuff, and at some points it became somewhat discouraging. So I just kind of got away from using them for walkthroughs, at least. Just because while I may have a bunch left over, if maybe one of y'all has struggled against a boss or something like that and you're running low on a certain consumable, I don't want you to feel like you have to go farm them if you run out, you know? Alrighty, so we are in the Dragon's Pit, and you notice we got one of those bell bearings. That one, I believe, the one that we just got, you shot the pot. That one, if you return it to the Maidens in Round Table Hold, gives you the opportunity to buy a Rata fruit. Not that great, but, you know, better than nothing, I suppose. So what I'm going to do in this cave is I'm going to throw on my Knight Rider Flail that has the Sacred Blade Ash of War equipped, because there are undead enemies in this cave. And for those of you who don't remember, the undead enemies will come back alive. I'll demonstrate them. I'll demonstrate that if you don't kill them with holy damage. So this one I'll show. You drop down, see the white wisps. If you don't hit them again, they'll come back alive. However, if you kill them with holy damage, they just stay dead. And these guys are also weak to the holy damage also, so that's also a benefit. So this guy, he's not facing us, so I'm going to use the Sacred Blade, which starts with a projectile, but then also enchants your weapon with the holy damage. So you see I killed him, and he just straight up dies. So that path to the right just takes you back up top. Beware of the guy over here that's going to jump out at you. You see, you take him out with one shot, and he doesn't come back. So that is the beauty of Sacred Blade. Up here, there's going to be more skeletons. There's going to be an archer over here that's going to try to hit us. Our weapon's still enchanted, so I'm going to try to take advantage of that. Took him out. Go here to the altar, pick up the item. We're going to come out of the ground. I lost my enchantment, but I should be fine with these two. I'm just going to have to hit him again. There we go. And then this archer over here. Causing problems. I'm not going to recast the Sacred Blade right now because I want to save my FP. So if you hop up these rocks, there's going to be one that pops up. If you're not careful, And take care of him here. He can surprise you. Take out this one. Beware, there's big ones down there lower on the stairs. But first, before we go down, we're going to run up. And there is a boss in this room. Unfortunately, you cannot summon for this boss. It is a magma worm, so those of you who are familiar with all the bosses in Elden Ring, this should be a familiar sight. I'm going to buff up before with my physic flask, and I'm going to give myself flame that grant me strength. And we're going to go to town, have ourselves a good time. Lock onto his head. The holy damage buff isn't going to do much against this guy, but it is good to have the projectile. Avoid the magma on the floor. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run out, and I'm going to put on the Flame Drake Talisman just to give me some extra defense against his magma. That'll help. Now we're going to go back in. Unfortunately, my buffs are going to wear out, but I like to stay kind of more towards the middle of him because when he spits the magma, it comes out of his mouth. But just kind of wailing on him. He's got that tail whip attack. Gonna heal up real quick. He does attack with his blade as well. But yeah, just kind of going to town, getting a stagger there. That's perfect. I think we also got a bleed as well. Awesome. Take the critical. And again, going to go back towards, kind of towards his midsection. We're just going to wail on him some more. Oh, the magma's going behind him, so make sure you're away from the magma because that stuff will do pretty significant damage if you're on top of it. Almost got him. Is he going to tail whip me? No, he's just spitting more magma on the ground. All right. Almost got him. Oh, patience is going to be the key here. Don't rush in. Don't step on top of the magma. There we go. Awesome. Got a dragon heart and an ancient dragon smithing stone. Couple items in here. Can pick up the knot resin. There we go. Smithing stone 5. Now we're dropping back to right where we were before. So we went up those stairs. That's where we fought the magma worm. And so now we got this guy going up top. I'm actually going to use a sacred blade on him. Take him out. Got this one coming up. Take him out before he even gets up. So yeah, the sacred blade works very well against these guys. So here we have a little note. It says, "Be brave, show no fear." What could that possibly mean? So the only problem with this is, and I'm going to go ahead and throw on the Great Shield Talisman here. Only problem with this is we're about to fight another boss. So I'm actually going to put on my regular Great Sword here, Great Sword of Solitude, because this one we can summon our Mimic for. But we are in a bit of a weakened state. I don't have my physic buff behind us. Smithing Stone 4. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to buff up with Flame Grant Me Strength right before we go in. Use my blue flask to recover all my FP. And I'm going to summon Mimic as soon as we get in the door. We've got the Ancient Dragon Man. The non... Ooh, jeez. The non... invader version of it. That was unfortunate. Very unfortunate. You saw that attack did quite a bit of damage. And that was... I should have recovered my HP before going in there as well. So because I went in with not topped off HP, and then I summoned Mimic, so my HP was even lower. That was not the best way, but fortunately though, I have my Physic Flask back, which silver lining. And he does, besides that projectile that he does from his sword, he does have a dragon incantation that can pretty much one-shot you, so beware of that. Heal up. There we go. Now we're in better shape. So I'm going to kind of mine my distance from him, wait for Mimic to come in. Oh, Mimic whiffed on him. That's too bad. There we go. So watch out for that dragon incantation. You're just going to have to dodge it at the right time, because he basically will kill you immediately if he hits you with it. But Mimic, I got him in the corner. Mimic kind of going to town on him. Kind of want to show you. Oh, he was about to do it, but Mimic killed him. So that is the Ancient Dragon Man. We got the Dragon Hunter's Great Katana, which I'm a big fan of this weapon. I'm going to be leveling this one up and using it in the playthrough. You can return to the entrance, but that is not what we want to do. You want to open up these doors. I'm going to put my regular talismans back on. So really just the Crusade insignia. Got a Site of Grace here. And we can level up, so. That will get my faith to 21, I believe. Yep. So I can start using the Blasphemous Blade, if I so choose. So here, this takes us to foot of the Jagged Peak. We're not going to be doing this yet, but it is how you get to this section of the map, which is still yet uncovered. But for now, you're going to warp to Round Table Hold, and we're going to upgrade our Dragon Katana all the way. And if you can't get it to plus 10 yet, don't fret. We're going to get an Ancient Somber Dragon Smithing Stone, or Somber Ancient Dragon Smithing Stone in the next episode. So that will allow you to take it to plus 10 once we get that. And a plus 9 will do just fine if you can't get it to plus 10 for the time being. Let's see, where is, there it is. So we're going to take this thing all the way up. I'm going to equip it. And what we're going to do now is we're going to warp back to the Pillar Path waypoint. And I'm going to show you what this weapon does. So it is a great katana. So you see it is large, and it has the dragon scales on it. It looks pretty cool. The moveset, slash, and then a poke, and then a sweep. But where this thing shines is you can do an L2 attack, which you throw the projectile. That's the thing that killed me when I was fighting the Ancient Dragon Man. You can also charge it up. So if you do a fully charged L2, that does a lot of damage. You can't really see the projectile because it's going straight across, but there's a projectile. If you look, you can see it if you look from the side. So very cool. I like this weapon a lot. And it comes in handy, especially in some of the dragon fights. It works very well. So, with that being said, I'm going to call it right here. We'll be done with this episode, and we'll pick things back up right here next time, guys. So, thank you so much for watching. Hope you found this helpful. Hope you've enjoyed, and take care.